Welcome to the Free Kick Podcast. My name is Todd, and welcome to our final game for the semifinals. Out of these two guys, Luke McClung and Mike Thomas, one of these guys will be facing Ricky Zelfro in the final. And spoiler alert, if you guys didn't listen to that game between Michael and Ricky, it wasn't a high-scoring game, and yeah, I probably made the questions a little bit too hard, and I was like, yeah, it's only fair if I do the same thing for Mike and Luke tonight, and let's see if they can score a little bit better. I'm not sure, but welcome back. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing good. I hope Luke's not like having a avenge his brother's loss type of thing here, because I beat AJ.
I mean, I'll do my best, but I enjoy when AJ loses. So
I was gonna say AJ's probably thinking the whole family name is down to you now, Luke. You gotta avenge my loss. And I don't know, Michael, can you take out the whole Doopy Brothers podcast right now with this episode and make your way to the final? We shall see.
I hope not. I like listening to the Doopy Brothers.
Yeah, that's it. AJ lost, now Luke lost. That's it. We're so ashamed of us the way that we performed in this tournament. We're done with the podcast. No more Doopy Brothers. I hope not, right? I hope not.
No, let's just say that we'll go Mike into letting me win. So just to keep that on, put that on his conscience.
There we go. But honestly, guys, like we're recording this episode on Friday night of the 9th of April. And we know Wednesday night, the Philadelphia Union took on Saprissa. And honestly, like, I don't even want to do the game show, honestly. I just want to talk about that Saprissa game. I know, Luke, you and AJ released your episode, I believe it was today, just your thoughts on that game and everything. I'm like, man, like, I know we have to play this game. I was like, look, the Philadelphia Union played their first ever game in CONCACAF Champions League. They won. And the one thing that's getting talked about, I feel like the most is obviously the red card. Like, nobody's talking about the victory. Like, the Union went down to Costa Rica. I think that was Saprissa's only 5th ever loss to an MLS side at home. Like, it is insane. And nobody's talking about that. Everybody's talking about the red card, the dirty tackle by Blanco. It's like, there was so much more to that game than there was last, minute of the game. And that's literally everything that everybody's focusing on. And yeah, it sucks. And So we don't have to spend the whole episode talking about that. Let's just go ahead, get it out of the way. Let's hear what Ale Bedoya said, because I'm sure you guys and you listeners saw the Ale Bedoya quote on social media. So let's go ahead, hear the frustration in Ali's voice. We'll talk about that, and then we'll talk about the positives of the game. So without further ado, here's Ale Bedoya.
Welcome to CONCACAF, right? I mean, look, I didn't want anybody of us to get into some, fighting or anything like that they pull us into something like that. So I just try to pull guys away. And obviously bodies from all over the place were coming in together. But look, that's, that's something that the referee have to take better control of. If he makes a better decision there, it might not have happened, just like I have to sit up here and be held accountable for my play, the referee should do the same. They should be explaining that decision, because that's a red in every part of the world. I don't understand how that was not a red card. So that was a disgraceful decision. But hey, we move on. We got a victory. We got a good result. And, I'm glad that we didn't get any red cards or any stupid. Nobody did anything stupid. So, obviously for me as a captain, I just got to try to get in there and pull guys away so we don't get drawn into anything dumb.
So, yeah, obviously you can hear the frustration in Ali's voice, and just even like his facial expression. Like, you can tell that he was getting a little bit red in the face, and rightfully so, because Ale Bedoya saw Kai Wagner basically get his leg taken off by Blanco. Kai seriously could have been injured. Luckily, he walked up and was fine after it, but that's not what you want to see, right? Like, you're going to lose, and don't go out there and just take it out on a player. Now, I get it, right? I think around the 74th, 75th minute, Matt Real slide tackled Blanco, so obviously it was retaliation, but to give a yellow card for that, like you said, Mike, like, you got CONCACAF, and I'm like everybody's talking about it. Even Eddie was talking about it. He's like, yeah, it's just CONCACAF, bro. I'm like, what is everybody talking about? And well, now I got my first taste of it. Like, yep, this is CONCACAF. You don't need to explain it anymore. It's CONCACAF.
Yeah. As someone who's been watching this tournament probably longer than most Union fans, right? Like, in a weird way, it's like you don't want to see it, but you sort of did want to see it. It makes it easier because Kai's fine, or it seems fine, right? But like that's what kind of like crazy off the wall stuff that happens in CONCACAF that makes it so much fun to watch. And I will say, like, obviously dirty, obviously shouldn't have happened, but that's the kind of stuff that happens all the time. So it's like almost fulfilling the promises of everything I sort of love out of the chaos of CONCACAF Champions League, and seeing the team react and like rally behind. Like I feel like in a weird way that we could look back on that and see it as like a big bonding moment for the team early in the season, and maybe, you know, some morality boost as they not only move forward into the next leg, but into the actual MLS season. So I'm hoping they can sort of parlay that into, you know, team building. You really know, you know, you guys got each other's backs, and you know, every member of the team was jumped in there. You see Glesnes immediately in the mix. I think that's going to endear himself even more to fans than he already did. And Brujo, El Brujo is always in the center of it. And even Ali, just as like the senior leader, sort of calming things down. Even Jack Elliott, right? Like in the mix there. So it's like you don't want to see it, but the way it played out in the end, you sort of love to see it. So, yeah, those are my thoughts.
Yeah. How's El Brujo the only player to not get a yellow card? Like, he's like somebody that you would expect to get a yellow card. He didn't even get a yellow card at all in this game. It's a credit to him, and especially doing that scuffle and everything. I saw Jamiro get a yellow card. I don't even really know what Jamiro did. I might have to go back and rewatch it, but I'm like, yeah, seeing El Brujo in there, I'm like, yeah, they're going to give him a yellow card just because. And no, he walks away without one. But Luke, thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like Mike said, like something was bound to happen, and I don't know. It was kind of cool to think about, like how I feel like Jim Curran has like talked about in the past. Like he always wants his guys to be fearless, and like usually that relates to like playing the final ball, taking the shot. But like in this moment, like these guys were they weren't like super intimidated by Saprissa, even when things got crazy. Like they were right there with it, and like, you know, ready for the fight, which, like, good or bad, I don't know. Like I agree with Mike. I think this could be a nice bonding moment for the team and really get them fired up for the second leg. You know, even though they're already going to be up for it no matter what. But I think it's going to make the second leg give it a little more energy, which is going to be exciting to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I like what you and your brother AJ did on your latest podcast, Luke. You guys were talking about at the end, revenge. You know, what should Union fans do? What should the players do? You guys came up with some very interesting ideas. Obviously, like, people have seen that clip on social media where the ball boy, I believe it was Roma, the Roma player gets drilled in the chest by the ball boy. Yeah, that's a good idea. I think AJ said put mustard on the ball or something, or Brenner Dragon at the halfway field. So all I'm saying is, if that happened the first leg in Philadelphia, there's no doubt in my mind that fans would jump on the field and attack Saprissa players. Like, that's how hardcore these fans are. And I don't know, maybe something crazy like that happens again and fans go on the field to attack Saprissa players, but I feel like Union fans are going to have to do something, right? I mean, obviously they're going to give it to Saprissa players all game, even before the match starts. But look, these guys are playing down in Central America. It's going to be an atmosphere that I'm sure they're used to playing, because South American, Mexican teams, Central American, I feel like those guys are just really, really passionate. And so some of these guys that have played in Argentina, that have played just their whole careers down in Central America, they're going to be used to it. But I don't know, maybe they're not really going to be used to hearing MLS fans, American fans, giving it to them from the start of the game to the end, because I feel like that's definitely what's going to happen. They're going to get booed every time they touch the ball, especially if Blanco plays again. Yeah, that guy's not going to hear the end of it.
Yeah, I mean, his name is definitely well known in Union circles now. I mean, most people probably couldn't even name Kendall Watson beforehand, right? He was probably the most well-known player they have in MLS circles, but I guarantee everyone knows Blanco now, and if he does play, we'll be on the watch out for him. So it helps. We got fans in stands, right? So a little bit of thing never hurt anyone, right?
I feel like this is going to be the first time in like a CCL matchup that the MLS team is going to have the more intimidating atmosphere, just mainly because of COVID reasons. Like, Saprissa had no fans, but like, we're going to have 5,000 fans like ready to go. So it's going to make for a pretty fun time.
Yeah, absolutely. But Before we get into 5 from 25, like I said, let's talk about something positive. I thought Kai Wagner was excellent the night. I thought Leon Flack, it's got to be one of the best Union debuts that we've seen in a very, very long time from a player. I mean, obviously, Brendan Aaronson's is up there against Atlanta when he nutmegged Brad Guzan down in Atlanta. But there's a guy who literally joined the team, 2 weeks ago? Wasn't playing that much with St. Pauli. Nobody really knew what to expect, and this guy played phenomenally well for the Union in his 63 minutes. And Jose Martinez and Biza with a great cross. And I thought a little bit at the beginning of the game, he was a little bit timid going for it, but then as the game progressed, he started to find his way and he put a couple good crosses down there that the Union could have finished. I know Leon Flack got close to one at the end of the goal post, but it was a couple seconds off of it. And the Union really could have ran away with this 2-3-0. I feel like they missed a couple of chances, but they got that one away goal that's so crucial, and that's all we needed, right? And we kept a clean sheet, which is just even great. But Leon Flack, man, just so surprised to see how well he played, and it looks like Ernst Tanner has now found another diamond in the lower German leagues, and people on social media are like, okay, this guy's definitely taking somebody's spot, which I agree. He's going to get the start against Saprissa in the second leg. I think we'll see the same lineup. I think if Sergio Santos is good, he'll probably come off the bench for the last 20 minutes of the game just to get his match fitness up. And people are like, yeah, Leon's going to be in the starting lineup from now on. And people are like, whose spot's he going to take? Well, honestly, I think the player he's going to take is Anthony Fontana. And that might surprise people. And I don't want to see Jamiro Montero in the 10, but you're paying that guy a lot of money and you want to get him into your lineup. So I could see Jim putting Jamiro as the 10, even though he's saying Anthony Fontana, the 10's his spot to lose. But Anthony Fontana is not a striker, and he's not going to be Casper's striker partner throughout the season, I don't think. And Ernst Tanner, I thought it was interesting when they announced Leon Flack. What he said in his press conference is like, yeah, we can make another move. He didn't mention number 10. He mentioned a striker. He specifically said a number 9. And that tells me that, okay, maybe he really believes in Leon Flack to play on the left side of the diamond, that he believes Jamiro can play as the 10. And he's saying, okay, not a number 10, a number 9 is what we need now. Maybe we are getting the 10 with Jamiro and Anthony Fontana because of how well Leon Flack played in that game. And if he keeps it up, there's no way that he's getting out of this starting lineup, in my opinion. Maybe you guys have different thoughts. Maybe it's not Anthony Fontana's spot that he's taking. Maybe it's somebody else's. But that's just the way that I look at it, because once Sergio Santos comes back, we saw how that partnership has worked in the past between him and Casper. Now the question is, can they both stay healthy to just continue to wreak havoc on defenses? That's yet to be seen, because these guys both have missed a lot of time the last couple of seasons. So we shall see, but it's got to be Anthony Fontana for me. You guys, thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I can't really disagree with that. I'm not like against Fontana being a super sub type of player. Like we've seen him be impactful in that role anyway. But I mean, there's gonna be plenty of games. Like I think Fontana's gonna get plenty of games to probably try out, actually play the number 10, and Flack is. He'll get plenty of minutes too, but yeah, I mean, I'm excited just to have that another option like that and make it a little more interesting, like who's going to play in midfield week in, week out. So I think it's like just exciting to have
options,
have a guy like that.
Yeah, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, options is the word that pops into mind for me, because initially with reading that for Flack signing, I almost viewed him as like a depth utility type player guy that can slot in maybe a few different places and a great like bench option. But I mean, in a year where we're probably going to have more rotation than typical, having more options or even the ability to pivot to like a more 5-man midfield if we have some striker health issues, right? I mean, that's it. It's a good problem to have, I guess, having to choose between these different guys that all appear to be capable. I mean, Flack definitely impressed me the other night for sure. So good problem to have. Good to have the competition. I mean, one of my concerns was, having Fontana there is fine, but if there's like no one behind him pressing from a competitive standpoint besides some very young homegrowns, that leaves me a little uneasy. But having additional options in case someone dips in form or gets injured, that's not a problem. That's a strength. So we'll see. We'll see how it shakes out.
Yeah, absolutely. And the last thing I want to bring up is the one player this doesn't speak highly for is Woodwatts. Look, he didn't even make the bench. Like, when Aurelian Collins, your fourth string goalkeeper, over a young, he's 21, 22, I think Woodwatts is. Yeah, that doesn't speak really highly of you. And I don't know, maybe Ernst is trying to shop him around. Maybe something gets announced, but to see Colin make the bench, I get it, like he has experience and everything, but to see Colin make the bench over him, like, seriously, and now Leon Flack playing as well as he did, and Jim's going to keep Quinn Sullivan, Jack McGlynn on the bench ahead of Woodwatts. I just don't see any way for this kid to break into the team now, and maybe he gets some game time with you too, but we might not ever see this guy play for the Unions with the arrival of Leon Flack.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it sort of feels like a loss because I think we maybe expected more out of him than we ever did when he was first announced. But at the same time, like, he's just sort of one of those guys filling out the roster at this point. So I don't know. I am a lot more optimistic, though, honestly, overall, after seeing them play on Wednesday night. Like, they didn't play a regressive game. They played their game. Their press was going on. Their formation was what you'd expect it to be. They looked like the Union from last year. So, I mean, if Lorevec has to resume his role from last year, they're not taking a dip. And if he's not really going to be contributing, I can live with that.
He's taking up an international space, like a spot, like.
And they paid a decent transfer fee for him too. I guess that's the frustrating part.
Yeah, Luke.
Yeah, there feels like there's something missing. Like what's he not doing in practice to never get a chance even off the bench? Like it is a curious case, but like Mike said, like, we're not hurting. Like, we seem to have other guys that can step up. So, like, as long as that's the case, like, I'm not going to worry about the guy. Like, it sucks for him that his career is kind of stalled out. But I mean, hopefully something works out for him or what. I just don't. Maybe it's just not here.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's not end this in on a bad note. So let's go ahead and 5-25, which, like I said at the beginning, wasn't a high-scoring round. So I don't know, maybe we're going to continue on the low. So we'll see. But in 5-25, that's when the contestants answer 5 questions in 25 seconds. The clock starts after I read the first question. If a contestant doesn't know the answer, they can say skip, and we can go back to the question if time permits. Each question will be worth 2 points each. Like I told these guys, and like you guys heard last episode if you listen, everything's just going to be random questions until we get into the final category, which is name the Union player. So, Mike, I'm just going to ask you 5 random Union questions first. So, you ready?
As ready as I'm going to be.
Absolutely. Well, here we go. Let's go with your first question, Mike. And that is, who is the only player to score 3 goals in one half?
CJ Sapong.
Who led the Union in fouls suffered in 2020?
Montero.
How many times have the Union lost to Portland on opening day?
Twice.
Who led the Union in fouls committed in 16?
Bedoya.
What's the lowest amount of shots the Union have taken in a game?
3?
Jesus, how do you know that? Jesus.
I didn't.
Jesus.
I guessed.
Maybe the question's a little bit too easy for you, Mike. Jesus Christ. Because you went 4 for 5 right there. Which is insane. Wow. I did not expect that. So let's start up the top with the first question. Who's the only player to score 3 goals in one half? The answer to that is CJ Sapong. Obviously, you know that happened against New York Red Bulls. That all happened in the second half. Who led the Union in fouls suffered in 2020? You wanted to say Aronson, but you changed it to Montero, which is the correct answer, with 39 times he was fouled in 2020. How many times have the Union lost to Portland on opening day? The answer to that is 1. So they played Portland twice. They lost them 3-1 in 2012, and they tied them in 2014 1-1. Who led the Union in fouls committed in 16? That would be Ale Bedoya. And from my reaction to that last question, what was the lowest amount of shots taken by the Union in a game? 3. I can't believe you got that. And that happened in 2017 against Columbus. So The complete opposite from the first semifinal game, because Mike, you have 8 points out of 10, and Luke,
Oh boy,
a lot of pressure.
yeah, no kidding.
So let's go ahead with your first question, Luke, and that question is: which Union player had the most assists in one season?
Dodgeball.
Who led the Union in fouls suffered in 2015?
Sapong.
How many times have the Union lost to Dallas on opening day?
Twice.
Who led the Union in fouls committed in 2020?
Martinez.
How many shutouts did the Union keep in 2010?
6.
And you had plenty of time left on the clock. So the answer to that last one was how many shutouts did the Union keep in 2010? Yeah, the Union got scored on a whole bunch in 2010. They only had 2 shutouts on the season. The question before that was who led the Union in fouls committed in 2020? So I had a feeling you'd probably say El Brujo. He was third on the team in fouls with 31 in 2020. Jameer Montero, not only was he the most fouled player, but he also committed the most fouls in 2020 with 39 fouls. Before that, how many times have the Union lost to Dallas on opening day? Great memory, Luke, because they lost to them in 2016 2-0, and they lost last year to them before COVID shut everything down 2-0 as well. So 2 is the correct answer there. Who led the Union in fouls suffered in 2015? I was so surprised by this, guys. Maybe you guys weren't, because you guys have been around the team a little bit longer than I have. That was Eric Ayuk. He had 56 fouls suffered in 2015. And looking at your reactions, CJ Sapong was second, but yeah, Eric Ayuk was first with 56. And then the first question I asked you, which Union player had the most assists in one season? You're right, that is Bork. He had 18 in 2018. So look, I said a lot of pressure on you right there, but you picked up 2 out of 5. You got 4 points, so you didn't get shutouts, and not bad at all, Luke. But totally surprised by Eric Ayuk being the most fouled player.
Oof, yeah, that's a name I haven't heard in a while. That's a tough one.
Wonder what he's doing. I think he's playing in Turkey. I think who knows what he's doing.
I don't know.
But let's go ahead to the next category, which is true/false. So this category, guys, is obviously self-explanatory. I ask you guys each 5 true/false questions, with each question being worth 1 point each. So Luke, we're going to stay with you. And your first question is, true or false? The Union's 399th competitive game in all competitions saw them win.
True.
It is true. And the only reason I know this is because Mike tweeted something. When we play Saprissa in the second leg, that will be match 400 for the Union.
Oh, okay. That's right. I did see that.
So I was like, do I ask Mike his own question? I was like, yeah, that's not fair. So let's see if Luke knows this.
It sounded like a question Mike would know, even if it wasn't like so frequent or recent.
You're right. I mean, so surprised. Look, we're into season 12, and the Union are on match 400, and let's hope that they can get another win. Jim just got his 100th win as a Union coach, and let's see if we can get a win for match 400. But question number 2 for you, Luke, true or false? Despite having more draws than wins against Orlando, the Union have a positive goal differential.
I want to say true.
Yeah, you're right. That is true indeed. So the Union have 4 wins, 3 losses, 5 draws all time against Orlando in the regular season. They have 20 goals for, 16 goals against. So you were right, Luke. Question number 2 is true. Let's go to 3. True or false? The Union are on a 3-game losing streak against Western Conference teams.
False.
Yeah, it is false, because the last Western Conference team that the Union played in the regular season was LAFC. And that game was a draw, 3-3. We all remember that. So well done, Luke, with that memory right there. Let's go to question number 4. True or false? Sebastian Letou has only scored once on opening day for the Union.
Is that in one game or one goal?
Just 1 goal.
False.
That is true. So he's only scored once on opening day, which was also 1 goal. And he opened the scoring against Sporting Kansas City in 2013, which the Union lost that game 3-1.
I was thinking the first home opener, and I was like, oh, he said a hat trick. That has to be false.
Yeah, right. But
I forgot about that Seattle game.
Yep, there we go. Because obviously everybody remembers, okay, look, the first time we get to see Philadelphia Union, like, honestly, I thought the same thing, too, until I went back to it. But, yeah, unfortunately, we played Seattle, and we know Latu scored the hat trick. But, yeah, Latu had only scored one goal on opening day, and that was against Sporting Kansas City. But let's go ahead to the last true-false question for you, Luke. True or false? The most shots Casper has had in a game is 9.
Ooh. That sounds kind of high. I'm going to go say false.
Yeah, you're right. That is false. Casper is not the player to do that. The two players to do that were Connor Casey in 2014 against Vancouver and Andrew Wagner against Columbus, also in 2014. So not bad at all, Luke. You tied this game up. You went 4 for 5 right there, 8 points. Right. And Mike, time to add to that lead, or I guess take back your lead. So let's go ahead to question number 1 for you, Mike. True or false? The Union have been involved in 22 0-0 draws.
Oof.
This is regular season only, by the way. So
that feels like a high number. False.
It's actually true. Yeah, the Union have been involved in 22 scoreless draws, and the most recent was last year against Cincinnati, and yeah, that probably was the most boring game last year in Cincinnati on that horrible turf field, and we see Harris pointing everywhere, and yeah, Union couldn't get a goal in that game and end it 0-0, and the Union, throughout their history, have 22 scoreless draws. Question number 2, though, true or false? The Union have never won a match in Atlanta against Atlanta United.
False. They won Aaronson's debut, right?
Nah, they drew that game.
Oh.
Yeah, the Union unfortunately gave up the goal when it was looking so well for us to get the win, and yeah, gave up the goal, and that game ended 1-1. Let's go to question number 3. True or false? The Union have one victory against NYCFC in Yankee Stadium.
Let's go false.
Yeah, it is false. The Union have never won in Yankee Stadium. So I remember to ask you, the Union have one victory against New York City FC away. And when I looked at this, technically when the Union played NYCFC in MLS is Back, NYCFC was the away team. And so that was the Union's first away victory, even though it was neutral ground. But I was like, I want to ask that. And so you're right. It is false. The Union have never won in Yankee Stadium. Question number 4, true or false? CJ Sapong has the fastest goal in Union history.
I'm remembering a very quick goal. True.
Yeah, it is. Do you remember what team that was against?
Was it for Red Bulls?
It was DC United. He scored 20 seconds into the game, which is insane.
I think the Red Bulls scored a quick one against us.
They did. I think the Red Bulls still hold that record, unfortunately. So, not something good that we should hang over our head, but we got to see CJ Sapong score in the River End within the first 20 seconds of the game, so I guess that's a positive. But let's go to question number 5. True or false? Sergio Santos has had the most shots on target in a single half for the Union.
Feels like something he could have done during MLS's Back, so I'll say true.
Yeah, it is indeed true. It was not for MLS's Back. It was for his second half performance against New England, which the Union won that game 6-1 in 2019. Sergio Santos introduced himself well that game. I felt like it because this guy had been injured for so long, and comes on the field, scores, I believe, 2 goals. Maybe it was 1 goal. But yeah, he had a ton of shots on target for the Union against New England. So, Mike, you went 3 for 5 right there. You reclaim your lead with 11 points. And Luke, you have 8 points. So, again, it's anybody's game. You guys are keeping this close. And like it does every single episode, it comes down to the final category, which is name the Union player. So in the final category, contestants will go head-to-head against each other and guessing the Union player I'm describing. I'll give 5 clues, and contestants can buzz in whenever they think they know the player I'm describing. Contestants will buzz in by saying their own name. If a contestant answers incorrectly, that will freeze them out until the next question. Each question will be worth 3 points each, except for clue 5, which is when I give you guys the player's first name. That would just be 1 point. And like I told you guys at the beginning, for Name the Union players, I'm just going to give you guys just random stats for Union players for the season 2018 and 2019. So, like I said, Mike, you have 3-point lead over Luke, but still plenty of time for Luke to come back. So let's go ahead into player number 1. Hint number 1 is scored 7 goals, between 2018 and 2019. Hint number 2, scored 1 playoff goal in 2019.
Luke.
Go ahead, Luke.
Jack Elliott.
It is not Jack Elliott. So, Mike, you can wait for the other hints or wait for the player's first name. So we'll go to hint number 3 is scored against DC United in 2019. Hint number 4, plays mostly as a center midfielder. Do you want to take that or wait for the hint number 5 that gives you 1 point?
I think I know it, but knowing I have a lead, I'm going to play it safe.
All right, so hint number 5, first name Alejandro
Bedoya.
Yeah, it is indeed Ale Bedoya. So that puts your lead up by 4 now. So played it smart there. Were you thinking Ale Bedoya or?
I was, but I'm not. I don't trust myself.
Yeah, absolutely. But
true, false. All of my logic on all those correct questions was completely wrong.
Yeah, so it's like
into those points. So
absolutely, just protect that lead, right? But let's go ahead. Still 4 more players to guess. Hint number 1 for player number 2 is scored a brace against Orlando in 2019. Hint number 2 scored his first goal against Vancouver in 2019. Hint number 3 scored 16 goals in 2019.
Luke.
Go ahead, Luke.
Casper.
Yeah, it is indeed Casper right there. The other hints for that were hint number 4 plays as a striker. Hint number 5, first name Casper. Casper Shabelko is that player. So again, guys, big points right there for Luke, and this is a 1-point game now. Let's go ahead to player number 3, hint number 1. Scored 7 goals in 2019. Hint number 2, first Union player to get a red card in 2019.
Mike.
Go ahead, Mike.
Fabian?
Yeah, it is indeed Michael. Marco Fabian. So that is huge right there, Mike. You get those points. The other hints for that were good.
Oh no, the Kansas City. I remember being upset.
Yeah. What was it? Was it a tackle? Right? It was a.
He stepped on the guy.
He stepped on the guy. That's what it was. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what it was. Yep, there we go. So the other hints for that were scored a penalty against Toronto. Hint number 4, played as an attacking midfielder. First name Marco. Marco Fabian is the player. Can't believe I said Michael. But yeah, you're right. Fabian is the player. So let's go to player number 4. Hint number 1, scored 14 goals from 2018 to 2019. Hint number 2, 8 assists from 2018 to 2000. Go ahead, Mike.
Is it Pico?
Yeah. It is indeed Fafa. How'd you know that?
Well, I remember he was the lead goal scorer one of those years. And then as he started talking about assists, it was just like, all right, it has to be someone attacking enough. So that hasn't been named already.
You're right. Yeah, so the player is Fafa Pico. So the third hint for that was scored a playoff goal in 2019, played mostly as a left winger in 2018, and first name Fabrice. Fafa Pico is the player. So obviously, these points do it, but let's just go ahead for player number 5, which I think is probably the hardest hint. Maybe it's not. Maybe you guys will surprise me. But let's go with player number 5, hint number 1. Made 8 appearances in 2019. None of them were starts. Hint number 2. In 2018, he made 5 appearances. Hint number 3, scored on his debut against New England in 2018.
Luke.
Go ahead, Luke.
It's Fontana.
Yeah, it is indeed Anthony Fontana. So, Mike, walk away here with the victory, sees you go to the final, and yet another chance for you to walk away from another jersey from me. Like, people are going to think,
Mike. Congrats, man.
Yeah, absolutely. People are going to think that we're rigging this. Anytime I have a competition, every time you play in a tournament, they're going to think that there's just something going on between us. So I'm going to need you to stop winning.
I'll tell you right now already, I will decline the jersey and donate it to like a runoff, or if you want to do another contest or something, Todd.
Yeah, absolutely. So you guys heard it first here. If Mike wins the jersey, then it's coming somebody else's win. But Luke,
right now.
There you go. But Luke, for your first time in this competition, and especially, like I said to you guys before this, like seeing how the first game went in the semifinals, where it was such a low-scoring game of 10-6. Luke, you came away with 14 points in this category, which I thought these questions were pretty hard. So that's pretty impressive. And look, you made it all the way to the semifinals in your first time in this competition. Out of all the new people, you went the farthest. So not a bad performance in your first season.
Yeah, I can't complain, man. It was fun. It was tough. This one especially was tough, but I mean, congrats, Mike. We're locked into this one, but yeah, thanks. This was super fun to do. So I'm definitely coming back next year if there's spots. So
yeah, absolutely. Hey, look, you and AJ, or maybe it was AJ first. Actually, I think it was both of you guys said teams. Maybe we should do teams. You and AJ, Doopy brothers, entering in together. But I think AJ said when he played Mike, maybe he doesn't want Luke. Maybe he wants Mike. So,
I mean, I'll take Mike. Mike's killer.
Mike is. Everybody's going to be fighting for you, Mike, if we do teams in season 3.
I get lucky. I back into this.
You get lucky. I don't know, man. I mean, on hit number 2, you knew it was Fafa Pico. I was like, I didn't expect you to buzz in. You're like, is that Fafa? And I was like, yeah, it was. And then the last question in 5 and 25, you knew 3 somehow. Like, caught me totally by surprise, man.
I caught myself by surprise. I'm being honest. I don't know how some of this stuff gets pulled out.
Well, you did. And Mike, you walk away, if my math is correct, with 18 points. Luke, you had 14. And yeah, I mean, just what a great showing. You're on to the final. And like I said, Mike might be taking yet again another jersey from me. But before I let you guys go, predictions for the game Wednesday against Saprissa.
I think I want to stick with what I said on our podcast. I think I said 2-0 we're going to win. So a nice, easy way to finish out the round.
I know in your preview you gave a goal scorer. I think you said Paxton. I think that's what you said leading up to that game. So you want to try to give predictions who's going to score this time, or
who did I say? I don't know who I think is going to score. Maybe like I think I said like Bedoya and Glesnes was going to score in my prediction. So I'll stick with that.
Glesnes. Hey, I'm here for a Glesnes goal. Mike.
Yeah, I mean, I guess Eddie talking us off the ledge was the right call.
Yeah.
He definitely knows what he was talking about.
He did.
After seeing them in Saprissa, I'm a lot more comfortable than I was. So I'll say a comfortable 1-0 because I don't want to mimic Luke's response. So I'll say 1-0. But we're in control the whole time.
Okay, I like that. You both are saying we're going to keep another clean sheet. Look, that's what Jim's been talking about all season. That's what he talked about all last season. Clean sheet. It wins games. But unfortunately, I think Saprissa are going to score a goal. I'm going to go with a 2-1 Union victory, which means we win 3-1 on aggregate. But hey, look, we're all saying the Union, the first time ever in this competition, they're going to win back-to-back games. They're going to go to the quarterfinals, I think it is. And whoever they play in the quarterfinals, I don't care. I mean, Atlanta, if it's Atlanta, then so be it. They didn't look great in the first game. They got a lucky penalty call, and especially they played a man down. So I don't know. Maybe Atlanta loses that second game, but I know I forget the Costa Rican team. Apparently, like there's a whole bunch of issues going on with visa issues that they couldn't get them approved. So who knows what the team's going to look like when they travel to Atlanta? But I do think the Union are going to progress and. Yeah, it caught me by total surprise to see how well they played in that first game, especially watching them play pretty terrible. Obviously, I didn't watch it in the preseason games because MLS sucks. But reading what people said, the Union didn't look great, and, well, they surprised everybody and beat Saprissa 1-0. So I'm here for it. I think that place is going to be rocking on Wednesday night, and hopefully we get a couple dupes on us because that would be great. But before you guys go, where can people find you guys on social media? Luke, I'll go to you first.
Basically just on Twitter at Doopy Brothers, and then our podcasts, wherever you get podcasts, if you search Brotherly Game, you'll find us under there.
And Mike?
Pretty much just on Twitter, Thomas19064. You can follow me if you want. Usually I'm trying to plug your guys' podcast. So there you go.
Yeah,
we appreciate it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I appreciate it. I mean, everybody I feel like there's some people out there in Twitter universe that think that Union podcast, like there's like 6 of us, 7 of us. Like I feel like people think that we don't get along. Like I have no issues with anybody. Like everybody does their own thing, and I think the more people doing podcasts, the better it is for this team. It's like everybody has opinions and everything. The more coverage this team gets, the better it is. So look, Mike, go ahead, start a podcast. Start a Union podcast. There you go.
Oh boy, that's the last thing we need. I do love it when like we really get going in the season. There's like 8 Union podcasts, like Union specific podcasts in my queue, and I can just like play through them. I get like a full day of listening to nothing but Union talk. It's the best.
It is, and I like that that Spotify playlist you put. I did not know that existed, so I tried to come up with a Philadelphia Union playlist on Spotify. Yeah, it wasn't great, and I saw you tweeted that out a couple days ago, and I was like, yeah, it's a good podcast. Not podcast, a good playlist that you put together, Mike.
Yeah. I have a pretty broad taste in music, so there's a little bit of everything in there. So if you're interested in checking out my Union playlist, just tweet me. I'll give you the link. It's my Dupe playlist. I listen to it every game day, nice. And it's been working out pretty well since I started the playlist. Right, we won the Shield last year. So that was year 1, so year 2 must mean Champions League.
Absolutely. Look, all you guys listening to the podcast, I'll do you a favor. I'll take it one step further. I'll put the link in the show notes for you. You guys don't even have to go on Twitter if you don't have Twitter. So just click on the show notes after you're done listening to this episode, and bam, you got this fire playlist put together by Mike. And as always, if you guys aren't following the podcast on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, check it out, Free Kick Pod. The website, thefreekickpodcast.com. Wherever you get your podcast, The Free Kick, Todd Lewis. And don't forget, like I said, Mike might take me for another Union jersey. So don't forget that competition goes until April 17th. There's 3 ways of entry. I don't have the notes up right now, but if you guys have been listening, you guys know how to enter. 2 entries if you leave a review on Apple Podcasts, tag a friend on the post, and I think retweet the post. Like those both get you 1 entry apiece. And obviously, to be eligible, you have to follow the podcast at Free Kick Pod. But congratulations, Mike. You're going to be taking on Ricky, and let's see what I can throw together for a final. Because obviously these questions didn't phase you, Mike, and we'll see what I do. And Luke, again, congratulations. And hey, if you guys love what I'm doing here, check out the Doopy Brothers podcast. Doing great work over there, AJ and Luke. But until then, my name is Todd, and this is the Free Kick Podcast.